What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Casual Fridays. I feel like I'm moving up in the world. Like we said last week, got a very special guest this week, Athletic Director David Sayler. David, we appreciate you coming on.
Hey, if I'm moving up in the world, I don't know what that means for you, but
That's great.
It's all good.
We all know you as the face of Miami Athletics, obviously since January 2013, but can you give us a little summary and background of your professional career up until this point?
I'll try to do the quickest version possible for everybody, but I started out in accounting actually as a degree, and I took that degree and went to work with Ernst & Young. Realized I didn't like what I was doing, and so I quit. Actually, I was in Chicago this summer, and I got to go back to the bench right on Lake Michigan, where I actually decided to quit my job and get into college athletics, and so I got to reminisce for a little bit about that journey. But once I went to grad school at UConn and got a master's degree, and that got me into sports administration. And from there, it's just a traditional story of moving up, moving through the ranks, and finally learning to become an AD and wanting to do that for a living. And I discovered that at Bowling Green, working for Paul Krebs as my boss. He's still a good friend and mentor. Working for Chris Del Conte at Rice, who was unbelievable as a boss and a mentor, and then deciding that it was time to go out on my own and be an AD at South Dakota and then here at Miami. So it's been an exciting journey. Well,
we're obviously very happy that you did make that decision, but you were inducted into your high school's Hall of Fame in 2016. Many people probably don't know that, but you were. How did your playing and experiences in high school and then throughout kind of shape your vision for what we wanted to do as an AD?
Yeah, going to high school in Dayton was kind of interesting, right, in the sense that I had a lot of friends that came to Miami, and so I always knew a lot about Miami. But the best thing about going in the Hall of Fame for me was just showing my kids who are 8 and 11 that I actually was good at something at some point. Because I think they don't ever want to listen to dad in terms of when I tell them something. And I'm not one of those older athletes that tries to go out there and show people what I can do. I'm going to get hurt if I try that. So I try to lay low, and so getting in the Hall of Fame was certainly nice for that.
And you kind of gave us a brief rundown, but you spent time at South Dakota, Rice, Oregon State, and you mentioned Bowling Green. What was your biggest takeaway from those experiences that you brought here to Oxford?
Just about the commitment to the student athlete and wanting to always do what's best for them and try to make sure that we're providing the best resources possible. So I'm a big believer in resource acquisition, fundraising, giving the student athletes the best experience and coaches the best resources to do their jobs. And so that's really what I took from those schools, was finding a way to always find an edge, no matter where you are, even if it's Corvallis, Oregon, or Vermillion, South Dakota, or Oxford, Ohio, and trying to differentiate yourself.
Absolutely. Now, you've been here a while. My wife and I moved here a year ago. We absolutely love Oxford. What's your favorite thing about this town?
The family atmosphere, raising our boys here, is certainly something that means a lot to my wife. She's from small town Ohio, so this has been a great experience for us as a family, and we enjoy it every month that goes by.
Yeah, no question about that. But all right, so it's January 2013. You're here now. You're the man. You're the head honcho. What was your vision for like your first 50 days? What was that like?
I had done some prep work for the job, knowing that I was coming, and I tried to send out a questionnaire to everybody in the department about kind of their experiences, things I should be looking for, things I should be avoiding. And so my goal when I got here was to sit down with everybody and go through that questionnaire, and that's really what we focused on doing my first 100 days, if you will. It's kind of a listening tour. And then also getting to know the president and the board of trustees.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make him uncomfortable a little bit. I'm going to read all of his accomplishments since 2013. So we have $76 million raised. Okay, the Athletic Performance Center, which is incredible. It's a state-of-the-art facility. The Dowk Football Indoor Facility, addition to Hayden Park, seating and lights in Millette Hall. I'm still going here, by the way. A weight room in Goggin Ice Center. Outdoor courts for tennis. Now this is, to me, the most important part. 3.2 GPA for all student athletes in the last 5 years. And a 3.33 GPA in the fall of 17, and then 400 student athletes recorded a perfect 4.0 in that same span, and then the kicker, 27 conference championships since your arrival. I mean, it's just a long laundry list of just great stuff. I mean, what comes to your mind when you hear all this?
I just move forward. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. So for you to say all those things, it's nice and it sounds good. It's humbling. I know we have so many good people that work here that have accomplished so many great things that it's nice to stop and take a moment, take some pride for thinking about those things. But I'm already on to the next 6 projects. So
to me, and kind of how I look at it, there's kind of like 4 tiers to your job, and you can obviously tell me if I'm wrong. But fundraising, 1. 2, winning on the field of play. 3, GPA for student athletes, and then personal development and relationships that you build with student athletes. To you, what is kind of the most important part of your job?
You know, it's going to sound silly, but all of it, really. I mean, I think about all the things that I try to accomplish with our staff and getting things done. Really, it all centers on the student athlete. That's why our mission of graduating champions, it really entails all those things. I want to make sure that we're giving the kids everything they need to be great people in society. We want to make sure they're going to graduate, which, you know, some of the accomplishments you talked about, and then also provide them the resources for on the field. But you know, there's no question that fundraising in today's world is kind of the number one priority of things that have to get done to move the needle.
Absolutely, and just kind of building off that, do you think the kind of the arms race or what have you in college sports is the real thing? Like people always talk about it, and what's your perspective on that?
I think it can manifest itself a lot of different ways, and rather than call it an arms race, what I'd call it is just a commitment to what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think people want to see an outward commitment, whether that's a better, improved training table situation, which we did for basketball, you know, the video room we've done for basketball, the different things that you do. People just want to know there's a commitment of some kind, and that can take different forms. But I think that's kind of what's going on in college athletics today.
For sure. And then kind of one thing in the last year that I've really taken away from you when I've kind of sat and listened to him speak is be obsessive in what you do. And I think I got that kind of written on my desk. I'm not trying to get a raise, by the way. I'm just highlighting something I really take from him. But you say a balanced life is a static life, and that's something that I really kind of thrive in the last year with, and that was great to me.
I just think all the messaging that you hear about, you know, living a balanced life, I think you're always chasing that, right? Like you're never going to achieve this perfect balance in life. So why even bother with trying to think about what that's going to look like? Let's just focus on what's most important. I think you can be obsessive about trying to live a balanced life, right? I mean, that's kind of what it is. But to me, people that really achieve things in this world are people that are obsessive about something that's really important to them, and it drives them every day. And that's kind of the passion that I bring to what I do here at Miami.
For sure, there's no question about that, obviously, with the long list of what we talked about earlier. But let's talk a little bit more about basketball specifics. In particular, two great hires in the last year, Megan Duffy and Jack Owens in the basketball programs. What were your thoughts on their first years?
Beyond our expectations. I think a lot of people thought, and we were picked in both a lot worse than where we finished, so we certainly did a great job on the court, but more importantly, the foundations that both of the staffs have laid for the future is what's got me real excited. And I gave you a perfect segue with all the facility talk and obsessive talk about asking about basketball and facilities, so let's go ahead and get that.
Yeah, obviously it's on everybody's mind. It's what everyone on Twitter always hits us back with when we tweet stuff out. So where do we stand with kind of fundraising and kind of the plans for a new basketball facility for Miami?
Right, and I think what I go back to a little bit is about there has been some things done. I think sometimes we don't talk about those things. You know they've happened, right? Jack knows they've happened, Megan knows they've happened, but things that we've been able to do with the video room, the wait staff, training table, those types of things, even how you travel a little bit, we're trying to improve those situations. So those are happening. The facility, what I'd say is we're still looking for that lead donor. No project happens unless you get a lead donor, which is usually a gift of at least half the project cost, and so that's really what we're focused on. I've got a few prospects out there that I'm excited about, but I don't have any definitive answer as to them saying yes. They're interested, they want to visit the campus, they want to talk to the facilities department a little bit and try to understand the costs, because a lot of times when you want to build something on a college campus, it costs a lot more than if you just build a house, and that sounds odd, but it's true. So we're just trying to work through some of those issues with the donors who have good questions, but I got to give them good answers, and we've got to get the university to engage a little bit more with them, and so I think we're tracking well. It's not happening as fast as anybody wants, but I am very much committed to that project of doing something with a practice facility and also something with the basketball playing area itself.
Gotcha. Yep. So everyone out there, it's coming. Be patient. We're there. We're
it's a
getting
priority
there.
for us. It is.
Now talking a little bit more specifically about Coach Owens, and obviously he's going to be beginning year 2 here. What drew you to him in the interview process?
Just who he is. I mean, just his approach to things, his demeanor, his focus, attentiveness. And then when I talked to Coach Painter and I really got to understand more about the progression that Jack's had through his career, it just really cemented the fact that he was someone I thought could build this program, and the recruiting connections he's made are paying off huge dividends for us. So, but ever since I met Jack, there's just always a real calming feeling about who he is and what he can do, and it's not cocky, it's not in your face or anything, but it's just very consistent.
Yeah. There's no question about that, and I think he would definitely fall under the category of being obsessive with what he does. He's a basketball junkie, which I've been very fortunate to learn from the last year, and then before that in our time knowing each other. But what were some things that stood out last season with our players, with our coaching staff to you, and maybe what was a highlight for you?
They just love playing. They love being out there together. They were fun to watch. The way they engaged the fan base and the community. I had more people asking me about when the next basketball game was, which never happened before. So I think just the excitement they brought and the love, the way they played the game, I think it was apparent, and I think people caught on to that.
Yeah, for sure. And then what are some things that you saw that possibly we can build on to take that next step next year?
I think just getting everybody physically more mature and in their bodies, and continued commitment to getting better. I think all the growth that you're going to see is going to be pretty awesome. And I know everyone's real committed. I know Jack and the staff have spent tons of time working with each kid individually, and so I think the payoff, that jump from year 1 to year 2, is usually where you see so much growth.
Absolutely. All right, I got some rapid fire questions for you. First thing that comes to the top of your mind. All right, favorite food?
Italian food.
Italian food. Favorite vacation spot?
San Diego.
Cavs LeBron, Heat LeBron, or Laker LeBron?
For sure, Cavs LeBron. Version 2 especially.
All right, now we've had a lot of debate on this. So if you had to choose, gray alternate uniforms or black alternate uniforms?
Black alternate uniforms.
Like that. And then last, favorite Final Four location?
San Antonio. Just love the Riverwalk.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got to agree on that one. Well, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Come fly with us next week as we sit down with assistant coach Jeff Rudder.